of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the middle of the African bush. I'm in a tent. Ready? Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live.
Not sure what happened there, but this is Safari Live and welcome. As you can see, myself and my stick are in a tent. Now, that's because there is a blustery storm outside. Well, it hasn't quite hit us yet, but there has been quite a lot of lightning around. You can see I have a wall. Today, it is not open to the bush because the wind is howling from that direction, and we did have quite a bit of rain from there. Initially, we were going to start the drive, and oh yes, you can hear I've got bells on my antlers. Now, initially, we were going to start the drive with actually all of us in the tent, but it seems like the lightning moved off a little bit, so we're going to try put some vehicles out. But until then, you're going to be stuck with myself in the tent. Now, I do have a very special guest today, and it's someone I know a lot of you would love to speak to. Should we introduce him, Dave? So we got a very special guest. Let's go outside because let's go talk outside. Oh, I've got antlers. I'm hitting everything. And of course, this tent is made for James Henry. As you can see, it's not made for me to walk with antlers. And so generally, you normally only ever see this person outside. Don't run away now. We have our very, yes. And if you're in the tent today, you have to put your antlers on, even if you put them the wrong way around. And we've got Herbie mic'd up to join me in the tent. Oh, there we go. The wind, I'll hold it for you, Herb. Don't worry. There we go. So a big welcome to Herbert Causa. Of course, this is the man that keeps us safe, and I know a lot of you would love to have a chat with Herbie. Herbie, what have you been doing? I saw you running. Hashtag Safari Live, made by Herbie. There we go. And that's how, if you want to ask us any questions, you can do that by using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send us an email to questions@WildEarthTV. So as I was saying, Herbie and I were planning to go walk. What were we going to find today? We're going to find all the lions, all the leopards.
Yes, of course.
Of course. But now the weather has put us in the tent. So it's great. And of course, we've got Dangerous Dave, the gravy dish, on the camera. There we go. And we're in the tent. You can hear that massive storm. There's storms to the east of us. And there's a lot of lightning in that one. There's storms to the west of us. And there's a little gap to the north and south. But I don't know, I've got that premonition that it is the day that Steph's deluge arrives. Now, Steph has made us pack sandbags waiting for this massive rainstorm that's never come. Hashtag deluge, but maybe today is the day. And also, the lightning is actually a much bigger problem for us than the rain. We don't want to take any chances. Of course, we've got those big antennas on the vehicle. So, Herbie, would you like to come join me in my office?
Of course, why not?
There we go. Okay, so now Herbie is a man of many talents, a master tracker, a master shot with that large caliber firearm he carries around with him, but also, Herbie, you can do some bird calls.
Yes, I can.
But now we've got a special video prepared of you and Jamie doing bird calls. So let's go have a look.
And Herbie, of course, ever present ahead of us and checking to make sure the coast is clear. He's talking to the bastard. I'm not sure who's talking. That's how good his impression is. I think he's talking to a black-bellied bustard, which is a type of bird, by the way, if you have just joined us, and it makes the most amazing whistling sound, and then a champagne cork pop at the end. Herbie, wait. Before you run away, Herbie, will you do the sound for them, please? The sound of the black-bellied bustard. Wait, hold on. I've got to get closer to you so it'll pick up on my microphone. I'm going to lift up my hat so you can do it into my microphone. That's amazing. one's responding back to him. He's talking to him. That's the best impression I've ever heard of a black-bellied bustard. That is exactly what they sound like. And he's responding to... Should we see if we can see it? I'm sure that he's on the tour. He's going to come and attack you, Herbie. No. You're too good at the call. Isn't that amazing?
How incredible was that? Herbie, where did you learn how to make the call of a black-bellied bustard?
Yeah, as a naughty boy, we used to mimic different birds' calls, including the black-bellied bustard. That's how everything started.
So have you got any other birds you can mimic really well, except for the black-bellied bustard, that you would like to share with us today?
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Herbie thinks a little bit. Now, we're really lucky to have Herbie with us, and of course he keeps us safe. But also, Herbie is one of the best gentlemen in this part of the world for finding leopards. And I've been lucky enough to walk into quite a few different leopards with Herbie. I think my favorite one was when we were tracking Karula and the Mampimpa, and where we're not going to say the person's name, but he drove over the tracks. And then we don't say names. We don't want to make him look bad. But so Herbie and we both then followed the tracks on foot, and we were lucky enough to find Karula.
Yeah. That also keeps on clicking in my mind. That was my best day trekking ever. I didn't believe that after seeing the scratches on the ground would be able to find the actual animal. And for me and Brent, actually, we were busy discussing how are the chances for us to find the animal. We knew that the tracks were fresh, but at the same time, we doubted because the tracks had been driven over. And luckily, famous Brent managed to see the scratch on the ground, and yeah, we took it from there.
I was very lucky because I was about 90% sure it was a leopard track, but I wasn't 100% sure till I had Herbie come, and then he confirmed for me, and then off we went up the drainage line. We found Karula and the cubs on a kill. Now, Deborah... Oh, no, I've gone completely back now. It was Deborah. Was it? Debbie. Debbie would like to know, what is Herbie's favorite animal to track?
Of course, the leopard. Karula.
There we go. I think that answer is going to earn you a lot of friends, Herb. Your favorite leopard is Karula to track. Yes, so it is wonderful that we are able to spend time. And Herbie, you've had some scary times as well. I think one time in particular with the Nkuma pride.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that was... They gave me a ref.
So, just for those who are not sure, I'll give you a rev. So, if you rev your car, when a lion charges you, sort of, so it's like a revving of an engine. So, when Herbie says they gave him a rev, it actually means the lions ran out of the bush, hitting the ground, going at him.
By giving me a rev means I surprised them, and in that case, they decided to defend themselves. So, what happens coming to trekking is that when you are in the bush, you have to use all your senses, including looking around, listening to any of the alarm calls of the birds, mammals, or anything. But in that case, I just ignore one of those signs, which was to go to the highest point and check around to see if I'll be able to get a visual. Yeah, that's when I was very much close to the lions, and that because of the presence of the cubs, two of the males started coming, and everybody, including the tiny cubs, responded. And I didn't know what to say. I tried to call Brent.
I think I'd run away to Arathusa. Yes, so I mean, it does happen occasionally. We do get charged by animals, but fortunately, it's all our experience and stuff like that keeps us safe. Now, Herbie, quite a few people are wondering about your badge. So, would you want to tell anyone about that? They're wondering about what it means.
The badge that I'm wearing is one of the churches that I'm attending each and every Sunday if I'm on off duty, and that says Z representing Zion, C Christian, and the last C Church, Zion Christian Church, situated on Polokwane side, Moria, the big mountain on Polokwane.
Now, the Zionist Christian Church is actually one of the largest religions in the world, and the National Geographic did a feature on it, and I actually happened to film at Moriah during Easter. So you can get about between 6 and 8 million people attending the Easter service at Moriah. So it is incredible, and people travel from Zimbabwe, from Zambia, from Namibia, from Botswana, or to a valley that's probably about 200 kilometers to the northwest of us from here, and there's a big festivities that go on, especially over Easter. Easter is probably the biggest holiday for the ZCC. Okay, well, I did have another question. I'm sure. I think I've bumped my... I have. There we go. Yes, no, I'm back. I've bumped my volume. Kathy wants to know about Herbie. Herbie, where did you get your training, and how long did it take? Now, I know a lot of your training you would have got as a boy, being a naughty boy, as you said.
Yes. And the first training that I got was at Londolozi, as on those days where Londolozi used to train trackers and guides as a CC African companies. So I got trained there for about a month at least, and because I didn't have much to do, I've extended my training course to 2 months, and from there I also went to Ngala, a private game reserve, to do my trekking course, and that's where my trekking career started.
Oh, there we go. And what about when you were younger and looking after the cows and the goats? Did you not have to go find lost cows, and did that help with it to get your tracking better? You started from a better place to, say, someone who didn't have that experience.
Yes, that the trick was that you have to know each and every track of your livestock, whether it's a sheep, goat or cattle. That where everything started. So on those days we used to know all the tracks of these animals, following them, and that's where my trekking started.
Right, isn't that incredible? Now, a while ago there were some mystery tracks that Jamie found, and there was a lot of discussion over these mystery tracks, and Angie in Wisconsin was wondering about that, and well, we all agreed, but Herbie, being Herbie, he really is passionate about tracking, went back and double checked. Do you remember those tracks that were on Triple M?
Yes.
And we do know what they are, so I'm going to let Herbie, I'm not going to ruin the surprise, I'm going to let Herbie tell you what those tracks are.
I still remember that morning. Jamie went to drive on our western boundary, and she came across some tracks which she was not sure of. And she, coming back to the lodge, she pointed out the tracks to each and every, because she managed to take the pictures of the tracks. And coming back, everyone was discussing about what tracks were.
I just want to say I was right, by the way. I'm just putting that in there.
And Brent said those were zebra tracks, and Stefan and Jamie were not sure of what animal tracks were those. So I had to drive back. It was raining a little bit, like drizzly. I had to drive back to where Jamie cycled the tracks, because that's what trekking is all about. If you see the tracks that you're not sure of, you have to cycle the track so that whoever comes across, if you send someone to the area, will be able to identify the tracks. And eventually I've managed to know that those were tracks of a zebra with a deformed
fetlock at the base of the foot. Now, before Herbie and I start telling such big stories, our nose starts growing like Pinocchio. Let's go to Effia, who's got an animal whose nose is longer than Pinocchio's.
And Philemon's Cutline Junction. Good afternoon, everyone. I am FW, and with me on camera I have got VM. We have just found a lovely herd of elephant. We're going to see what they're up to. There's a lot of them in front of us. We're kind of at the back of the herd at the moment. So we just want to see what they get up to. Let's just move forward a bit, see if we can get this a little bit better. go. This looks like quite an old female. I think she's got a fair amount of years behind her. You can see those temples are sunken in quite a bit. And yet that gives us a good indication of how old they are. I would put her over 40 years of age easily. Yeah, with the view we've got of her now, we've got a perfect example of a quick reference to telling the male or the female. If you look at the forehead, a female's forehead is almost a perfect 90-degree angle, and the tusks are quite thin, and often quite thin and long. I've seen very long tusked females. And then you can see the mammary glands under the front legs. With the male, the head would be very, very round. Just helps absorb pressure when they're fighting. Just you can imagine that those hard hits coming from a 5-ton animal onto another 5-ton animal. So there's going to be a lot of pressure when they smash into each other. Just going to move forward a bit. Keep following these guys. Just roll forward. We're on a nice slope, so we don't even need to start the engine. Just let gravity do its work. There's a nice youngster. This looks like a young male, and you can see the shape of the head already at that young age, a little bit different to the big females. I wonder what else we're going to find this afternoon. What else wants to show itself? Something quite interesting, and Sarah, a very good question from your side. You would like to know how long elephants are pregnant for, and you can, ladies, you can just imagine having to be pregnant for 22 months. Imagine that. It's a very long time to carry a baby, but it is also necessary. They need to carry for so long for the baby to develop enough for them to be ready for life when they come out. It's not like cats or lions, for example, which they carry for a short period, only 3 months, and then give birth to young that aren't 100% fully developed. That's why they go into den sites and move away from the rest of the pride until the cubs are big enough to be introduced to the pride, which would take maybe 6 weeks to 8 weeks before they get introduced. And another reason is, you can imagine if a lion had to carry for longer, she would get too heavy to hunt and to provide food for the babies, and then eventually for the babies when they are born. A little bit of noise coming through from the elephants, a bit of excitement on this Christmas Eve sunset safari. I wonder what they're doing for Christmas Eve. Munching about. Elephants need to keep feeding for a very long time of a day. You can maybe put it 15 to 18 hours out of a day. They'll just be feeding, moving around, feeding and feeding and feeding. Elephants, with the amount of feeding that they do, need to more or less eat about 5% of their own body weight every day. So if you've got a 5-ton elephant, That's a huge amount of food, maybe 250 kilograms of food that needs to be taken in. Very good question from Lane. I hope that answers that question for you. And you can imagine 250 kilograms might not sound that much when you think about it in what they eat. You can just imagine the bulk of all the branches and twigs and leaves. If you had to pile that up and get that together, it's going to look a lot more than what the weight would suggest. It's not the heaviest materials that they really eat. So, yeah, you can imagine how long it takes to get all of that together. If we had to go and look for it now, we'll try and make a pile for an elephant. The wooden piece of the branch is already just the structure of the plant, and it doesn't have much nutritional value at all. So it's really the cambium layer, the inside bark, what they are really looking for. Now the cambium layer is if you cut a tree down and you count those rings, every year there's a new cambium layer, and that is where all the food and nutrients and water in a plant goes from the roots to the leaves to eventually end up and go through the photosynthesis process. Just gonna move forward a tiny bit more, see if we can get a better visual again. They're constantly on the move and going out of our view. Moving into this drainage line. Let me go forward a tiny bit more. It'll give us a bit more time with this youngster when he decides to come past. There we go. There's also a fork-tailed Drongo just above this young elephant, waiting for the first chance of an insect flying up to shoot down and try and catch it. Folks, we're going to try and get a better visual of these elephants. We're going to head over to Taylor and see what she's up to.
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas! That's as deep as my voice will go. Hello, everybody. And my name is, of course, Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me this afternoon is Eggsy, aka Zander. Now, I want to show you something. Let's see if we can spot the lightning that's just off into the distance. It's quite spectacular, but unfortunately, no, not unfortunately, I lie. Fortunately for us, we've already experienced this weather as it's already come overhead. That's why we had the slight panic and we all raced into the tent. And it has moved across, but there were some spectacular lightning bolts, and I'm sure we'll get to see one. Let's see, come on, lightning bolts. Of course, now, Eggsy, when we want to show everybody, there's nothing, but we'll be patient. We'll wait 30 more seconds and see if we get something. Come on, come on. It's so beautiful. And when you look at the lightning, if we do get a shot of the lightning bolts, it looks a lot closer than what it actually is. Oh, there we go. Did you see that? How spectacular that was? And that is what's going on in the sky towards the east at the moment. And well, when we get a better view of the west, you'll be shocked. It's completely clear. Now, our plan this afternoon, I'm a little bit uncertain, I must tell you, that some of the information we received earlier this morning was maybe a little bit of a fib. It seems as though it was not the Nkuhumas that are on a kill in Simbambili. It sounds like it's the Majingilans. And now I'm very confused as to where the Nkuhuma pride is. So we'll have a little scratch around, and maybe they've moved with the thunder and lightning that did come back over, or perhaps we'll have to go all the way to Cheetah Plain, seeing as though the weather looks like it is clearing up. But we'll let you know in just a moment. I'm going to send you back across to Evia, who has repositioned.
So on our way to try and get in front of that elephant herd, we've stumbled upon some baboons. Some of them just scattered at the first sight of us, moved off quickly. And luckily we had that one sitting around on the stump, giving us a bit of a glance at it. More tree climbing there. Should we move back a bit? Oh, a big chunk of that bark just came off as the one tried to climb up. So about halfway up to the other one, it just jumped down back onto the ground with that bark almost falling on top of it. It's actually a good place for them to feed. Those wood borers that caused all the damage there. Now, wood borers are little bugs moving around in the wood and feeding on the dead wood, the dead plant material. Often they like marulas. Marulas get debarked, pieces of it gets debarked quite often by elephants. And those open patches on the trees where those eggs get laid, and then they start feeding there. They hollow a tree out very quickly. So there's a good amount of protein for those baboons to find if they want to. Doesn't look like they want to this afternoon. They want to keep moving. Bit of a quick cat fight there. Here we go, some more of them coming through the open area now. It looks like they've settled their nerves and will allow us a glimpse into their lives. Babies. Ilana, age 13. Your question is how long baboons live, and do females live longer than males? I would expect them to live longer than the males. I would say a good lifespan for baboons might be 15 to 20 years if everything goes well for them, if they don't get into any big trouble with predators. I know leopards quite enjoy trying to catch baboon every now and then, and baboons, if they spot leopards, shout at them from a dizzy height, letting the rest of the world know that these leopards are around and prowling around looking for food. Earlier on screen there was a baby baboon sitting on the back of its mum and another one hanging on the front. Now, as far as I know, or under Betty, as far as I know, when they start sitting on the back of mum, they've been weaned and they're not really drinking that much milk yet. But the babies hanging from the chest and the belly, they're still suckling, they're still drinking a lot. of self-grooming, and it looks like a bit of allo grooming as well. The one at the back looks like it's busy cleaning its mum, giving it a hand there. Back for another piggyback ride. Mum wants to eat a bit more. You can spend hours watching baboon troops when they're busy doing their thing. I think they remind us of ourselves every now and then. A lot of similarities in some of the behaviors and funny things that they do. You can see yourself in a bit of those primates. So it makes for good entertainment. Folks, let's leave these guys, let them do their thing. Let's try and move around and see if we can get and see those elephants. We're going to head over to Taylor and see what she's got. It sounds like she has something exciting.
We found the young princess, as you can see, Madame Xongile, sitting up on the dam wall. And then we've also got her beautiful brother, Hosana, sitting at his absolute favorite pan to fish for terrapins. Look at him, there he is down there. But no sight of Karula, so perhaps she has gone off in search of something to eat for her young children. Isn't this wonderful? I think we need to change the name of this pan, or at least give this pan a name. I don't think it should be Twin Dams anymore. This one should be Hosana's pan, seen as though it's his favorite spot. He absolutely loves it. But he's not fishing, of course, at the moment. He is just taking a breather, probably enjoying the nice cool weather that has come about after the hot day we have had. But it looks as though something has caught Xongile's attention, because she's now sitting up. No, as I say that, she's sitting back down again. And I suspect it was the Egyptian geese that are just on the other side of the pan that she was probably having a look at, but they moved away. And I think she decided that, well, it was probably going to be a bit too much effort for her to head all the way around. But I'm so happy that we managed to find them. I was worried that they were crossed out of our traverse this morning, that we weren't going to see them again for a couple of days. But isn't this a nice surprise? Now, of course, as most of you know, we are on a live safari at the moment. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you're more than welcome to. Send your questions through or any comments that you have. You can either hashtag Safari Live for Twitter, or you can send us an email, questions@WildEarthTV. Now, every time the hardy-dar sort of lets out a wail, Xongile always turns her head and looks around, and I suspect that the hardy-dar is probably one of the hardy-dars that were, well, either the male or female, that we saw those chicks, because we're not far from them, but we know that they have fledged. Well, we hope that they have fledged. Or like Brent said, possibly young Hosana had climbed up the tree and plucked them straight from the nest, and that would be a very tasty meal for him. Hello, big boy. Every time I see him, he looks like he's just getting bigger and bigger. And he definitely dwarfs young Xongile. I think he's going to grow up to be a beautiful boy in the next few years, and it's one of my favorite things, is to be able to sit and to watch them grow right from a cub. And I don't actually think we realize how lucky we are to see that interaction of her mom mating with the various male leopards, and then of course seeing the lactation marks and knowing that she was pregnant, to of course the arrival of the young prince and princess. This is amazing, and we'll be able to follow their story for as long as they live. I can't believe the weather. It's completely changed. It's now so peaceful. The wind has completely died down. There we go. Xongile is on the move now. She's up, she's down. She doesn't know what she's going to do. She's just checking on her brother to make sure that he's keeping out of trouble. That hardy-dar is really funny. Just giving a shout every now and then. Hello, girl. Now, I wonder if young Xongile is as keen of a fisher lady as her brother is, because I haven't really seen her down playing around in the pans before. It always just seems to be Hosana. Hello, girl. She's watching all the vehicles as they're driving past, because we're quite close to the cut line. We're not far. And she's finding that very entertaining at the moment. No, and she's flopped back down again. And you can see they're slowly starting to separate from each other. Obviously, when there's a meal around, they start to munch on it together. However, I think young Hosana is slowly starting to gain his independence. We see that almost every single time he's fishing. He's always hard at work, whereas young Xongile, if she can, seems to stick by mom's side. But we're definitely not going to go anywhere. We're going to sit with them for a little bit longer. But let's jump across into the tent with Brent and Herbie.
Welcome back to Brent in the tent with Herbie. So there we go. We're still here. We want to show you quickly what has caused this utmost panic. And I've brought up a wind map with the cloud movements that are happening around us. So let's have a look. Amazing technology. So that little green circle, we're actually probably a little bit lower. We're about there. So I was looking at the wind map, but there's confusing winds, and it looks like we're just in this little section here where the where the rain doesn't want to fall. So it seems it's getting pushed here and then pushed around and away from us, and then around and away from us. But who knows, maybe over the afternoon or the night it'll curl back and come back towards us. So there we go. That shows you what the winds are doing and whatnot. And remember, live safari, we've got a very special hashtag today made by Herbie. There we go, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter if you want us to answer your questions. And you can also pop an email to questions@WildEarthTV. But Herbie, what else have you got in your hand? What else have you made there? What is it for? Is it for brushing my non-existent beard?
No, this is for shaving your beard.
But there's no sharp edges. Herbie, you're confusing me now. My hair is still here. What happened?
So this is just made of grass. So it's something that, as a naughty boys, we used to spend time and trying to make one of these. And the more time you spend making these, is the more time you lose your livestock. And at the end of the day, you get punished for being naughty, trying to make these and losing the stock at the end of the day.
Now, Herbie, that's quite a nice grass species you've got here. If we have a look at it, it's one of the panicums, probably blue buffalo grass.
Yep.
Now, it looks like seeds and stuff there, but the amazing thing about grass, if we go over here, is that it is a flowering plant. So it is one of the wildflowers, but a little bit different. I'm just going to see if I can find one there are a few flowers on this panicum. I'm just trying to focus in here, find a nice flower. Oh, okay, James is so good at this. He gets it so quickly. Or does he practice when he's off air? I wonder. Davy, you've spent a lot of time in the tent.
I'm not saying a word.
There we go. Well, it's not quite. There we go. You can see bottom left of frame. You can see it hasn't quite opened yet, but there is a flower about to come out. So grass is a flowering plant, and it's probably the most important flowering plant in the world. Without grass, there would be very little other things, because grass is really, really nutrient rich. And this particular species we're looking at now is what you would call a decreaser species. Now, decreaser grasses are the best grasses. So they have the high nutrient level, the highest starch and sugar levels, and they need to be fed on, strangely enough. So they need to decrease to increase. I know that sounds like a complete load of nonsense. And basically, if they're but it's a very fine line. They can't be fed on too much, otherwise you get soil erosion and the roots stop holding the grass together. So grass is a very, very important thing, and as Herbie would know after looking after livestock, if you don't have grass, well, actually it goes even further. It starts with soil. If you don't have good soil, you don't have good grass. If you don't have good grass, you don't have a lot of grazers. And our main grazers, if we think about it, buffalo, zebra, are the two really big bulk grazers, and rhino, of course. But now, if you don't have lots of bulk grazers, you don't have lots of predators. So it all goes down to the soil and grass, and that's the incredible thing about being out here, is everything is connected. Okay, sorry, I need to go back, make sure I'm still getting used to this. No, there's nothing new on that. There's a tent document. We're so fancy they can send things through to me. Now, isn't that incredible? Taylor's found Hosana and Xongile. And now those are two leopards you spent a lot of time with on foot, eh, Herb?
Yes. Those are my favorite cats.
There we go. Herbie's favorite cats are Hosana and Xongile. Who do you prefer more? Who's your more favorite? Hosana or Xongile?
I'll prefer Xongile, simply because now that Hosana is getting bigger and bigger, I'm kind of getting scared of him. That one day he might charge me.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, I don't know if Hosana is quite big enough to give us a charge yet. He has hissed at me on foot, though, strange enough. But speaking of those incredible cubs, let's go back to Twinkle Toes, Taylor, and Hosana and Xongile.
Have a look at young Xongile. She's decided to come down the bank wall now. But as you can see, often we try and rehabilitate areas that are heavily disturbed. So we have brush packed this area to try and stimulate growth and also prevent any herbivores from grazing on the grass that will eventually, of course, grow up on the side of this bank. But she's found it quite an obstacle as she tries to navigate through all the thorn trees, which is normally used, like I said, to try and keep them, keep the herbivores away. That's why we use the thorns. But that didn't stop her. It wasn't too much of a challenge, and she's going towards her lovely brother. So hopefully, just going to let her get ahead just a little bit, even though we know she's so relaxed with the vehicle. Oh, hang on, I'm going to reposition, because it looks like Hosana is going to maybe stalk his sister. Let's see what happens. Hello, Gil. Right, there we go. Now that's a nice view. At one point, Hosana was trying to lie as flat as he could in the grass, and I thought that he was going to get up and chase. There we go. Look how much bigger he is. Hello, sister. I'm just going to sit on your face now, and I'm much bigger and stronger than you, so you're not going to be able to do anything. Look at him. He's genuinely double the size of her. That is just absolutely incredible. I'm going to go forward again. The reason why I'm going to do this is it's just another vehicle, of course, coming up behind me. So we'll just get a nice spot over here, and then everybody can have a good view. There we go. Well, we can all see them. Two little peas in a pod. And it is so nice to be able to watch this interaction that they have between the two of them. But like I said, eventually it's going to start to wear thin. And they're going to go off and go their separate ways. And it will almost be like they never knew each other when they get older. It looks like Hosana's got lipstick on. I don't know if he stuck his nose in the mud, perhaps. It's a bit difficult to see. Here we go. It does, doesn't it? Looks like he has stuck his face in the mud. You can see a little bit of... And that's probably when he was trying to maybe catch a terrapin, or maybe there's a little catfish or something along those lines, maybe even a tilapia in this little pool of water. Oh, big yawn. But even though he's double the size of his sister, he's still got his little teeth. They haven't quite, well, they're not nowhere near the size of course, Karula's teeth. Now you can see every time the vehicles move, they do watch. And that's why it's important when you do have young cubs like this, that you do give them a bit of room, even though they are very relaxed. And you try and just move the vehicle, one vehicle at a time. It is so important. And everybody has done an absolute sterling job. And I think I was talking about this the other day. And if we weren't practicing good guiding techniques, they wouldn't have been this relaxed. They probably would have got up and run away from us. Look at his nose. His face is covered in mud. Now there's obviously been a lot of chatter about who is going to be taking over Karula's territory once she passes on. And Bree, you were wondering exactly that, which leopardess will maybe take her spot. It will be interesting. It will most likely be somebody like Shadow or Tundi. Oh, look at this big leap. Wow, there we go. Not afraid to jump over the water. Something must have caught her attention. So Bree, basically Tundi and Shadow's territories are on either side of Karula's. So as soon as the spot opens up, and of course young Xongile is going to be too young to be able to take Karula's spot, but she'll have a small portion of her territory most likely. So it will just mean that either Shadow, Tundi, maybe a new leopard comes into this area, maybe another leopardess comes through and finds that there is an open spot if Karula has passed on, and they will, well, if they're mature enough and strong enough to fight Tundi and Shadow for it, they'll definitely take it for themselves. And of course, well, then Xongile will have to be very careful because she will be quite young and she probably won't have too much experience. And she might even have to move her territory away a little bit. And she's just having a drink. Maybe she's also going to have a mud-covered face like her brother after she's done with this drink. Now, I was saying just a moment ago that these two are going to go their separate ways at some point. And Kimmy, you were wondering that if perhaps in about 4 years' time, Xongile and Hosana were to meet up again, would they know they were related or would they fight? Kimmy, you know what might even happen? You might find that it will be very unlikely that the two of these meet up because Hosana will be pushed well out of this area. He might go further north into the Manuleti. He might go further south to the Southern Sand. Maybe he even goes far east and moves into the Kruger National Park. But there are too many big male leopards around here. You've got Mvula, you've got Tingana, you've got the Anderson male, you've got Quarantine, and you've got, or like Quarantine, you've got a lot of young up-and-coming leopards that have already reached 4 years old. And they'll probably be in the prime of their life by the time they reach 4 years. But in the odd case that they do meet up, you might find that Hosana may even show some interest in Xongile and possibly try and mate with her. It's not uncommon for anything really out here in nature to sort of mate with their siblings down a couple of years down the line, and of course inbreeding is natural. Let's see if he does a big jump over this water. Try and get a screenshot of this, because that would be really, really special. There we go. Whee! Not as impressive as his sister's jump. We'll see what they get up to. Look at how beautiful they are. They're just looking more and more adult-like. Looks like Xongile is actually stalking Hosana now. Look at Xongile. See how she's starting to stalk? She's gone into that slinky position, moving very slowly, and she's going to probably burst out of the bushes at her unsuspecting brother. And this is good practice. We know this. We watch it with the lions all the time, how they jump on each other and play with each other. And this is very good practice to eventually one day be able to take down something like a steenbok or an impala. Now, Lindsay, you were wondering if two leopardesses were to meet and sort of clash with their territories, would it end in a big fight? Yes, it will. Females can be quite feisty, and they're also just as territorial as the males. So if they do pick up on the scent on another female leopard, they'll try and track them down and chase them well away. I've seen a leopard fight before between two females. It's interesting. I didn't expect it to be as aggressive, but sure, the claws came out and, well, there was no hesitation at swiping at each other. Now, I hope they don't go too far south, because, like I said, we're right at the boundary, and it seems as though they're edging towards Gowrie, Maine. Just see where they're going to go. What we will try... bursting through the bushes, playing with each other. This is so nice. I don't think I've actually seen the two of them play around too much. Every time I have spotted them, they've either been sleeping or they've been eating, or it's either just been one or the other on their own. So it's really, really nice for me to finally see this lovely leopard interaction between a sister and brother. Now, I'm so glad that you're all sending in the most incredible screenshots. Thank you for all that. We love to see all your pictures. And like I always say, and I've said it a number of times, keep an album, because these cats grow up so quickly, and before you know it, they'll be adults just like their mother, just like their father, and you probably won't even remember when they were little tiny tots. I think what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and reposition so that we can get a better view, because at the moment, well, they're doing what the camouflage is supposed to do now, being hidden very well. So we'll quickly just zoom in front. Right, we're going to shoot back across to Evia very quickly and see how his afternoon is going.
These elephants are making me look silly. They are making me drive around in a circle around this block that they went in. And every time I think they're going to get out somewhere or come out somewhere, they just change their direction of movement a little bit. So we're still waiting for them to come out. I think it's worthwhile to wait a little bit. Just need to get visual of them again. I had visual of them and then they disappeared again. So, yeah, testing my patience this afternoon. There must be very good food in here that they're taking so long not to move out, or they're just not in a hurry to get anywhere. But yeah, my best guess would be that there's a lot of very nutritious food in this area and they're utilizing it to the full extent. If they were on a mission, they would have been here a long time ago. Good afternoon, Tim. You'd like to know if we ever run out of grass with all these animals eating it all day. This year we nearly did. In a normal year, no, we wouldn't. There's enough food for everyone to eat, but this year it's been a tough, very dry year. So over this extended drought period, it nearly got to a time where you had to start considering different things to see if you could pull these animals through this drought. It is important though to try and keep nature to do its thing. It's important for a bit of natural selection to take place, taking off the weaker animals and keeping your best genes to grow the populations again after a big drought like we've had. So normally, yeah, there is enough food around. Just want to quickly scan around and see where I think these elephants are. Last time I saw them, I think they were somewhere. Folks, while I keep waiting for these elephants to show you, we're going to head over to Brent, who's in the tent and having some fun with Herbie.
Welcome back. Now I'm still with the incredible Herbert, who's sitting next to me here. Now Herbie, Marianne in Arkansas says it's the best Christmas present to have Herbie on camera in the tent. So there we go, Herbie.
Thanks very much.
From Marianne. Now Bethany's got a question for both of us. So she says in America, when they go walking, oh, I've lost my thingy bobs. There we go. When they go walking, there's a big animal there called a bear. So they're about the size of a buffalo, but it eats nyama, or it eats meat, and they advise them to walk around in the bush in America they give them bells to make noise, to scare all the animals away. Now, Bethy would like to know, in the African bush, do you think it's good for someone who doesn't know what they're doing to walk through the bush, so someone from Joburg, with something to make noise? Is it safe, or is it a good idea?
Unfortunately, yeah, our main aim is to conserve, not to destroy. But again, we try not to interfere much to the natural behavior of these animals. We respond, or we are there to observe, but not to interfere. So yeah. Like being here, for the guys that are coming from the Johannesburg side, my advice to them is that you only walk, or you only, especially if you are on foot, you only walk in areas that you think are safe for you.
Or walk with one of us would be the best advice we can give you.
With the either me or Brent, no, only with professionals, and in that case, you will always be safe. And only if you keep a safe distance to these animals, you will always be safe.
So Bethany, it's a very interesting thing, and you must remember that animal behavior is completely different all over the world, and obviously it varies heavily over species. Now, I've only ever seen one bear, and it was a black bear, which apparently is quite timid. You can just sort of clap your hands at, and they run off in fear. Now, dealing with a grizzly or something like that, there's bear bangers are sold, which is basically like a flare that goes bah to keep the bears away. I think even if I was in the US and walking around, I'd probably still be quiet, but I'd trust 30 odd years in the bush, being there since I was a small kid, my instincts and my senses to hear, smell, and notice something before I got myself in a dangerous situation. Now, the big difference is between walking around in the US and walking around here is in the US you really only have bears to worry about. I mean, moose can be dangerous, bison can be dangerous, but they don't really occur in the numbers. When walking out here, I mean, you've got elephant, buffalo, lion, rhino, what am I missing? Oh, leopard. But I mean, out of those, elephant and buffalo are probably your two biggest concerns on foot in the bush.
Yep.
And also they occur in densities far higher than your dangerous animals in the North Americas occur. So you're not exactly often going to come across a herd of 60 bears or bison around the corner, whereas we have a herd of 1,000 buffalo. We can have herds easily of over 100 elephants. So you do need to be a little bit more cautious. These animals have a different relationship with man and to what they do in the US, and it goes back a lot longer historically, because the origins of man are in Africa. I mean, we were born out of African soil. Doesn't matter where you are in the world as a human being, you are from Africa. We descended the trees when the great forests of Africa started rescinding and the grassland savannas came about. Now, Herbie, it seems like Taylor's still with those leopards, so I'm going to let you tell everyone that we're going to go to Taylor.
And sending you back to Taylor with my favorite leopard, Hosana, and her younger sister.
Here we go.
Herbie, I'm so happy to know that you've managed to see your favorite cats. I don't think it's very often that you get to see them out and about, always being on foot. Normally Herbie is just seeing their footprints on the ground. And I'm sure he's probably quite shocked to see how big they are getting. I just can't believe how quickly these animals really do grow. It's so impressive. And young Hosana, he's really a good-looking leopard. He is a lovely cat, but his sister seems to have disappeared somewhere. I think she could have already actually crossed off of the boundary, and I think she could have already disappeared. So we're going to try and stick for Mr. Hosana, or stick with him as long as we can. But for the moment, Xongile has given us the slipperoo. And maybe they're making their way back to where they were left with their mother early this morning. You see, as they're getting older, like I said, and I keep saying, they're starting to gain their own independence. So they could have just been left, and then, of course, well, they got a bit curious and they decided that, no, we're going to go back to our favorite pan and have a play around there for most of the day. And I can hear, listen to the guinea fowl alarming. So that is them shouting definitely at Xongile. She's already crossed out of our traverse. Sounds a little bit like Evia, doesn't it? Remember yesterday he did the most amazing impression of a guinea fowl alarm call. And you can see Hosana is now very, very interested in what's going on. And I wonder if he's going to be tempted by those guinea fowl alarms, or if he's going to stick to his guns, because he seems to be very much acquainted with his favorite pond with all the terrapins in it. Though I wonder if he hasn't maybe fished all the terrapins out. He might have to go and look elsewhere for a snack. All those guinea fowl are so unhappy. So Xongile must be moving through the bushes, because those alarm calls now sound like they're getting further and further away. And this guinea fowl will shout and shout. They might even fly up to the top of a tree. We'll just keep a close eye on her, of course, so she doesn't try and sneak up to them and snatch one of those, because that would make a tasty meal. Now, Gina, you were wondering, earlier I was talking about their teeth. And I'd mentioned that their teeth aren't quite as big as their mother's teeth just yet, and you're wondering when they get their adult teeth. So they've lost their milk teeth already. Oh, here we go. Here goes Hosana. He can't wait any longer. So, and I think it was actually Xongile that we saw. I think it was with Janie where she did a big yawn, and we noticed sort of double teeth. I don't think I'm mistaking that. I don't think I dreamt that. I think that actually happened. And we could see that her milk teeth were falling out, and she started getting her adult teeth. So they arrived. And now, well, they've just got to grow until they're big and strong. So I reckon when they get to about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and their teeth will be close on the size of an adult's. We'll see if we can get one last view of him, but I don't want to overcrowd this area because there's quite a few vehicles sitting on the boundary, so we're just going to keep a distance. We're very lucky. We've got these wonderful cameras with these massive zooms, because there's already 2 vehicles there. Oh no, hang on, someone's leaving. Maybe we can go in a little bit closer and have a look. And we'll catch Hosana just before he disappears across the boundary. Just quickly pick up the pace around the corner. Where are you going? Oh, look, there's a leopard tortoise. Look right in front of Hosana. Can you see that big leopard tortoise there? It's tucked right into its shell. You are very lucky, tortoise. I don't think that Hosana knows you are there. Oh my goodness. 2 leopards in one sighting, but of course one's a reptile and one's an actual leopard. Very, very, very lucky, that leopard tortoise, because that would have made an amazing toy, of course, for these 2 cats. I'm just going to pull off the road because Aubrey's coming into the sighting and I know that he'll want to have a look before they disappear. So I'm going to pull right away. Like I said, we're going to keep our distance now because there's actually too many vehicles here and we don't need to overcrowd this young boy. But luckily they're at the age now, like I said, they're not scared of the vehicles anymore. You are the luckiest leopard tortoise I've ever seen in my entire life. He's still hiding away. I think it must have had a fright from Xongile going past first. Look at this, not coming out just yet. Oh, and we're going to lose Hosana now. He's just about to cross the road in front of Ephraim's vehicle. Bye-bye, young man, but at least we got to see them for a moment. Well, not for a moment, we spent quite a bit of time with them. Wasn't that absolutely lucky? Just being at the right place at the right time. And we know that this is their favorite, of course, spot here at this pan. So I think over the next few weeks it's going to be a good idea just to keep checking it. Just to, by some chance, if we're lucky, to have a look at them. But that's the end of that, and I hope you enjoyed that. We're off to go and find you, hopefully, something else. The rain is starting to come down now, so we're going to go all the way back across to, well, Brent in his cozy tent.
Now, it is, actually, let's go outside. Come, baby, let's go outside. Look at this. It is a monkey's wedding. Oh, I got a duck now. The sun is shining and it is raining, and of course rain in Africa is a blessing. And as I said, we were looking at that wind map and I think this storm has gone around behind and now is coming back onto us. So maybe our panic earlier wasn't completely unjustified. Herb, what do you think? Is it going to rain properly today or is it still going to just spit?
Yeah, if the clouds build up more, we might get some rain tonight.
Oh, it's going to make tracking hard tomorrow.
Not that hard because
because you're a better tracker than me.
Because all of those old tracks, they will be washed away.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we'll get some, whatever tracks we get tomorrow, those will be our fresh tracks.
I'm just worried about the ground getting too hard if it rains too much.
Yeah.
Now, it is beautiful, so I don't know if that's a South African thing, the monkey's wedding, or if it's from other places in the world as well. So when the sun shines and it rains, it's not raining particularly hard just yet, but there is a lot of rain around. So before we get too wet, because we have the option, let's go into the tent. With my reindeer ears. Oh, there we go. Now, I actually don't, even without my reindeer ears, I need to bend to get under the lights, which are obviously at James. James just flies in and out under them. They hit me about on my nose, so it's quite dangerous there, the lights. But now, Kitty Kitty Bang Bang was saying, am I hearing a Woodlands Kingfisher? Was it Herbie doing an impersonation? No, Kitty Kitty Bang Bang, you were hearing a real Woodlands Kingfisher. Herbie and I have been chatting. We have not been whistling or imitating any bird calls. Just one moment, let's go. Herbie, Christine would like to know, how many languages can you speak?
Yo.
Couple, I think. I can speak Shangaan, Xhosa, a bit of Afrikaans, English, Tswana, Sotho, Dumelara,
Lekai.
Rola Ligai,
Sharp. Here we go. That's about the
Italiano,
Oh yes, I forgot about Italian.
Portuguese.
Forgot about those.
Yeah, but those are Zulu, of course, Zulu. Yeah.
I used all the Setswana I could speak in saying hello and how are you, Dumela, legai. No, of course, it is incredible, and that's amazing. So, you learnt Italian and Portuguese during your guiding, or?
Yes, that was during my guiding. Few years of guiding. I've been the lodge just I was working at as a guide. We were accommodating lots of Italian guests. That's where I used to communicate using the Italiano with my lovely guests.
That's really impressive. Now there we are. Herbie can speak more languages than, or probably the whole camp combined. Isn't that absolutely amazing? Now we've got an interesting question here, Herbie, from James, and James is wondering: are elephants scared of gondwans, of mice or rats?
Yes, they are. They are. You won't believe it. And with elephants, if there's something that comes out without knowing that particular thing is there, they will run. They will only come back to investigate later, but initially they will just run.
So there we go. So it's not so much the mice, but more of the surprise. So if an elephant sees or smells a mouse as it moves along the ground, but if a mouse or a snake or even a francolin bursts out of the grass next to elephants, they do get a fright. Now apparently we've got some animals on the dam cam, so should we go have a look? Oh look, there's some baboons and some impalas. Now I can't see any rain there. It's raining here, and not even 100 meters away from us. It seems like a bright, sunny summer's day. Oh, let's zoom in. Can we go a little bit to the left? There we go. There we go. Some male impala sparring. Now, of course, this is all practice for the main event that comes in March, and you can see they're not too serious about it. Now, Herbie, you must have seen some funny impala behavior in your time in the bush. Have you got any funny stories about impalas fighting? Oh, off they go.
Yes, I've seen many impala fights where at one occasion one lost its horn, and as the fight continues, the one with a unique horn eventually made a hole on the belly of the other one and eventually died.
Wow, so the one who lost his horn won the fight?
Yes.
Wow, it must have been Nelson. Was it here on Djuma? It's not our friend Nelson. No, obviously not. But there we go. If we have a look, those two boys are still going at it. Another set of males is now fighting. The baboons are ignoring completely. What is that baboon? He's digging for something there. The baboon on the left. Could be digging for a tuber. Could be digging out termites. Oh, you can see how strong the wind is, how it's putting a bit of vibration on the dam cam. I do love the new dam cam. It is so clear. Can you believe that's at the Djuma Pan and we're sitting here? So, Zumi, we're only accepting big cats, elephants on the dam cam from now. None more of this Impala or baboon nonsense. But no, I'm only joking. Of course, we love having a dam cam. I love birds. I love everything. And we had such a wonderful time this morning on bushwalk at that weeping wattle. There must have been easily 100 different species of insects on that single tree that was flowering. We actually had planned to go back and visit it this afternoon, but as you can see, we're in the tent. See, at least I think about walking because I've still got my stick. Fortunately, Herbie's left his walking stick behind because it is a high caliber firearm. We don't want those in the tent. Okay, let me have a quick look here. So James Richard would like to know from Herbie, what is the most unusual or strange experience you've had while tracking?
That was 3 years ago while I was tracking a pride of lions that walked past the lodge that I was working at. And unfortunately for me, I didn't know that they tried some buffaloes with no luck. And of course, we bumped into a bachelor herd of buffaloes, which were still confused after being attacked by a pride of lions. And as we were approaching, I had a visual of one buffalo from a distance, and I told the guy I was trekking with, because I was still new on the trekking team, and I was asked to take him for a trekking course, and he decided to turn, thinking that the buffalo will come at us, and I told him to stop, but he ignored my warning. And eventually, because the more you run, if you get exposed to these animals, is the more you are challenging these animals to run at you. And eventually that buffalo started chasing us, and I waited a little bit trying to shout, clapping hands, but unfortunately the stressed buffalo kept on coming at me. And I was so cornered that I waited about until it got close as much as 10 meters, and I went into a fork of a guari bush, and he ran past me. And as I looked behind me, my colleague was down on his belly, and we managed to walk back, and we survived the buffalo attack.
Now, and buffalo are probably one of our biggest threats on foot, so we don't take them lightly, even though they do look like slightly bemused cows half the time. Now, let's go see what that mad woman in the red hat is up to.
Mad woman in a hat. I've been called worse before. Oh, goodness, yes, but I do have a red hat on, so I suppose that part of it is correct. Now, there's 2 guinea fowl running around here. Guinea fowl, come back. Where are you? They keep avoiding me. Maybe it's my red hat. Maybe they're not quite in the Christmas spirit. No, they've disappeared now into the bushes, but you'll just have to take my word for it, of course, that there were some guinea fowl. Now, I did pick up on all the elephant dung and elephant footprints. All the mud wallows had been emptied out, so I suspect that the herd of elephants that you saw earlier with Evia most likely came along Twin Dams and then stopped at Chele Pan, had a drink, and then emptied out the mud wallows that surrounded that area. And I don't blame them, because it was an absolute scorcher today. It was really nice weather. We actually spent most of the afternoon by the pool. It was lovely. We were all swimming, really nice. Some of us got sunburnt. Me, because I've got such fair skin. But I should be alright. I'll probably just go nice and tanned afterwards. And actually my nose got sunburnt, and I'm very unimpressed by my sunblock, because I put it on about 100 times and I still managed to get burnt, which is absolutely no good. So we shall have to try another brand of sunscreen. Now, I don't know what we're going to do now. We're actually just having a little bumble for the moment, and it's drizzling, but we haven't got any big dark black clouds over the top of us. It's just really what we call in South Africa a monkey's wedding, when the sun is shining, but there is a couple of spits of and drops of rain. So I think we'll go and go past, we're on Twin Dams Road. We'll probably go towards the Djuma Dam and have a look there. And then I want to go and check around Buffelshoek Dam again, just to see if there's any further developments. Maybe somebody has popped around for a drink. Maybe there's some more elephants down that side. Taxon also reported a herd of buffalo along Cheetah cut line, quite close to Buffelshoek cut line. So we might go and have a scratch there and see if, if those buffalo are still around. Be nice to see a herd. But we've still got a bit of ground to cover. So I'm going to send you across to Evia to see what his plans are for the rest of the afternoon.
So those elephants kept playing with us, and we decided to leave them in peace, let them do their thing. We are carrying on with our day. We want to go and check around Sydney's dam if there's anything there, and then just keep moving around. Maybe we get lucky, maybe we get those that in Kahuma Pride, see if they want to show themselves. Maybe this weather is making them want to get on the move, and we'll pick up some fresh tracks, or just bump into them on the road somewhere. So fingers crossed. Let's hope that luck stays on our side. This weather is playing very funny games with us. It's giving us a fright every now and then, a drop of rain here and there, making us think, oh, get all the rain gear out, get dressed. A couple of minutes later there's nothing to talk of. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting afternoon playing games with the rain. Maya and Dipta, you would like to know what animal I would like to see this afternoon. I would definitely not mind bumping into that Nkahuma Pride of Lions and see what they get up to, if there's any interesting tales to be told by them for this afternoon. Folks, while we keep moving towards Sydney's, we're going to head back over to Taylor. It sounds like she's got some animals that are joining into the fun with this weather.
I always find that on these sort of windy days, the Impala boys get up to nonsense and start sparring with each other. And it almost looks like this entire bachelor herd has found a partner, well, a sparring partner. Now, apparently you already had a look at them with Brent. But it's incredible. It's not just two of them that are sparring. There's a couple of them that keep clashing heads. And this is just incredible. And, of course, the baboons that you saw earlier with Evia are also around and amongst the Impala. But they spotted us and they darted off into the distance. Let's see if these two are going to battle it out. And it's really impressive. So here's a good opportunity to get some screenshots, because they are kicking up a lot of dust as they clash heads. There we go. They found a comfortable position. And in these times of practicing, they don't want to hurt each other. It is just purely, it's just for fun, playing around, practicing techniques. That's it. Obviously, it looked like an older ram on the right that was challenging the younger one. Now, we've seen these boys clashing heads this morning as well as this afternoon. And Kathy, you were wondering, are impala the only animals that fight with their horns? Now, there's actually a number of different species, Kathy, and hopefully we'll be able to show you some others. But it's the variety of antelope species, so kudu, inyala, waterbuck, bushbuck, all the males will fight. They've all got horns. Even wildebeest will fight. They will clash horns. And of course, buffalo, which is the most impressive, that fight with their horns. Because when two buffalo go at it, I can promise you, it sounds like gunshots. It's like when two elephant bulls, when they're fighting and their tusks collide. It really makes you turn your head, and you're not quite sure what that sound was. It's very impressive. Now, I haven't seen too many real fights of buffalo. I've only seen a couple, and that would be one of my things on my sort of bucket list of animals to sort of get live, is to get a buffalo tussle. It is so impressive, and because they're so big and bulky, it's almost like they do it in slow motion as well. It's really amazing to see. Now, I don't know if any of you have maybe even seen something like that, but it is a very, very special thing to witness. Hello, boys. Now they've settled down. Oh no, those two are still having a go, but behind the bushes. We'll see if any of them are going to clash horns. They're all hiding behind the trees now. Oh, there's a baboon. Now, Sarah, you were wondering if there are any other animals that have nerves in their horns. So, with a horn, and with the antelope species, that keratin that you can see on their horn, so the black part of their horn, so that's just a keratin sheath. So that hasn't got any nerves in it at all. And often what we see when you find a skeleton of, say, an impala or even a kudu, is that the older it gets, that keratin sheath actually loosens up and you can pull it straight off of the bone. So there's a bony protrusion that sticks out of their heads. So the keratin is not physically attached to the bone. Like I said, it can slip off. So they don't really feel anything. So even when you see an impala with a broken horn, well, it depends where they've broken the horn. If they've broken it right down close to their skull, it's probably going to hurt a lot because they would have snapped the bone. There we go. But if they just, snap a small piece off on the top of their horns, it's really just the keratin sheath, and I don't think it would hurt too much. Hey boys, you're all having a grand day, and it's important for them to battle it out like this, even though it's just a bachelor group, because even within this bachelor group, you'll have males that are more dominant than others, and it's important for the younger males to, of course, respect the hierarchy within the bachelor herd, and to, of course, not take chances. But there are some really impressive boys in here, and this will be a valuable day of learning for all of these impala, getting back into it in the preparation for the rut in March. Now they've settled down and are munching on some grass, having a little power snack. That's important. As important it is, of course, sparring with each other. You've got to keep eating it, to eat as much as you can, because we never know, the rain could just stop and go away completely, and in a month or two, it'll go back to looking like a desert. Look at those baboons. Look at that little one that's playing around in that fallen, or that broken marula tree. No, not hanging around. One is dashed off, so they're all darting off now. Run, little baby! You can see the baboons keeping a close eye on the impala as they move through. Especially if they're sparring, a little one could get hurt in the process. So they need to just keep an eye on the youngsters. Now, Debbie from Vancouver, you're wondering if the baboons in a troop are all related, or do they take in outsiders as well? Now, baboons, and especially the troops and the males, the oligarchy of males, so the super group of dominant males, are very, very territorial, and you'll often hear sort of disputes between two different troops. So I don't think that they will take in another baboon very easily. Maybe a female, but definitely I don't think a male will be able to join. Here we go, look at that little one. especially an outsiding male. They're holding on nice and tight in case Mom decides that she needs to dash off. They are the funniest looking creatures, these baboons, with their bald patches on their bums. Hello, little one. No, they're dropping off, and this little one's staying very close to Mom. No, wait for me. But learning, because how it's picking in the grass, picking up probably some nice green grass shoots that are coming through. Oh no, what are you eating? Eating the root of some plant? That looked delicious. Wait, up I go again. And I think that view off of Mom's back must be incredible. And that little one obviously feels quite safe and comfortable when it does jump onto Mom's back. Louise says that this little baboon is like a little cowboy. I suppose. All he's missing is a lasso and a big cowboy's hat and maybe a pair of boots, and that baboon will be on its way to the wicked Wild West.